Lucky Lefty Podcast, Sonora Boys. We are in the building. Of course, as you can see, we got a special guest, and we're still brought to you by Honora Whiskey, HonoraWhiskey.com. It is that premium American whiskey, HonoraWhiskey.com. And ladies and gentlemen, if you choose to drink, please make sure that you drink responsibly. Let's get it, bro. Lucky Lefty Podcast, Honora Boys. I am Sean Davis, SD2 Mike. As you can see, left had to step away today to handle some business, but we are joined by big brother of the program, Big Ten Network's own Howard Griffith, right here, Lucky Lefty Podcast. We are courtesy of Bleav Network, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Audio edibles for your enjoyment each and every day. Go check us out. Set up for the automatic download. We appreciate it in advance. And we are presented by FanDuel. You go to FanDuel.com or download that FanDuel app. Everything you need for Super Bowl 60 is right over there. The money line, the betting line, New England's 4.5-point underdogs. This is reminding me of when they got to the Super Bowl against the Rams back in the day. I'm kind of getting that vibe when they took on the greatest show on turf. Seattle was hitting on all cylinders. Everybody's thinking it might be a blowout. I don't know. But then the prop bet. I gave a great prop bet yesterday, plus 2,500 for anyone to score a special teams touchdown. And you know, Seattle has a pretty good returner. That's pretty good odds for a special teams touchdown in a Super Bowl. But you can find that and much more over at FanDuel, FanDuel.com, and you can download the FanDuel app. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up. It helps with the views. Leave your comments, questions. We indeed respond to all. Since we do have Howard here, who is a veteran of not only Big Ten football, NFL football, and Super Bowl football. If you have a GTB question or a super chat that you would like to give to him, hit us up and we'll make sure it gets up on the screen. Before we get into today's topic, Howard, first of all, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. Still cold. Can we get the temperature to rise a little bit?
Hey, it's slowly getting up to the 30s by the weekend. You know, hopefully in another week or two, we can break it to the 40s. I told everybody on the show yesterday, in Chicago, all we ask for is 50. If we get 50.
Get to 50, everything's good.
Oh, we're out barbecuing.
Yeah. Concrete's dry, you can go wash your car.
Absolutely. That's the worst thing, right? You know, because I don't know about you, we bought the year-round, car wash.
Okay, yeah,
So we just pull up,
roll in
scan us. Right.
And here we go. So
every Saturday I usually do that. But as soon as I start driving to the spot, snow starts coming down. And I'm like, well, it makes no sense to go get it washed. And my wife was like, why not? It's paid for. You just go back the next day and get it washed again. But no, man, I'm feeling good. And Notre Dame fans are feeling much better in what they might deem an up and down roller coaster off season with the portal starting off slow and then picking up at the end and then losing their entire defensive staff in one off season. And now it seems like they filled all those positions. But before we get to that, I want to ask you, since we have you here, what in the world are these players really feeling as they sit 5 days out from like what they dreamed about?
I think right now, you're relatively comfortable. I mean, you've got media day coming up, you've got some obligations there, but most of the work has been put in back at home, and you're just fine tuning things while you're at the site. So not a lot of new game planning being done, just going over the things you already know that are into the game plan and looking at different types of adjustments you would make. But it's relatively calm. First couple of days, you get a little time off, so you go hang out in the streets a little bit. You do that. And then you kind of settle into later on in the week as the curfews kick in and you start to hone in on, really what it's ultimately about, and that's having a chance to win the Super Bowl. And they both obviously have that. Now it's going to come down to who's able to put up the most points.
Yep, a Super Bowl 60 on Sunday. Kickoff should be around 5:37. Enjoy that. And if you bet, try to bet responsibly.
Please, right?
FanDuel.com. So let's get into it. We were laughing before the show, and we were talking about Notre Dame, as we said before, losing all of their defensive assistants and having to replace that in the offseason. Like, is that a difficult task? We've talked about it. Like, man, that's a lot of turnover in one offseason. Yeah. But what they have, do you think it will be something that they can overcome?
Yeah, I think they'll be able to overcome. Is it going to take some adjustment period? Absolutely. And you're hoping you can get a lot of that kind of ironed out in spring ball and then obviously into the summer. But once the games start, there are going to be adjustments that are still have to be made. But I think one of the things that's really impressive about it and what Marcus has been able to do in his time as the head coach, he clearly has picked some outstanding coaches because people want these guys, whether it's the front office people, whether it's the coaches on the field, they're coming after his assistants, and that just speaks volumes about not only what those individual coaches are doing, but what Coach Freeman is able to do as far as hiring the right people that he's able to, maximize not only their talents, but the talents out of the players that they coach.
That's something that you talk about, but it's also something to look at. Anytime in the workplace when you have new management come in, sometimes, things aren't as well as they were with the previous manager. And you have some people that feel like, man, I need to move on and take on another opportunity that I might think is going to allow me to move upward and have better upward mobility in my career. And I think that's part of what we saw with the coaches leaving. I do think that Max Bullock is definitely a fit with what Pat Fitzgerald is probably doing and wants to do, especially on defense over in Michigan State. Al Washington going ahead. And then, Anthony Weaver, a Notre Dame guy, he's the defensive coordinator there in Baltimore. And Mike Mickens, he's leaving a loaded and a talented defensive back room at Notre Dame, but he's stepping into a defensive back room with Notre Dame safety over in Baltimore and Lloyd Gilman and Cal Hamilton. I think he's going to get off to a pretty good start as a defensive back coach.
And I think the reality is this. Not only those guys that are left, but you throw O'Leary into that mix as well. One of the things that, as I've watched these coaches from afar, they do a great job of connecting. And when you can connect with people, like your players, obviously, they're willing to do whatever it takes. They're willing to be coached hard. They're willing to have them be accountable for their actions on and off the football field. And that's a unique trait. But I think that's one of the traits that Marcus looks for in his assistant coaches. And listen, they all have short lists. You have to, otherwise you get caught flat-footed, and next thing you know, you're scrambling trying to find a replacement. And I think anybody, with just a little bit of common sense would know it's never going to be as easy as just plug and play, bringing another person in, because that person has to be able to grow. They have to have some ability to let their feet hit the ground and understand the environment they are now in. Mike Mickens had done an unbelievable job coaching and developing these young men, and the trust that they had in him shows through their play, being able to get the most out of them. But when one guy leaves, someone else has to be able to step up, and it's going to be the same thing at the linebacker position. You've got to continue to find that right person and allow them to find their voice as they coach and they get into the system. But the plan and the program is in place. It's not like, we're going to all of a sudden start trying to do a bunch of different things. Now, scheme-wise, some things may change, some techniques can change. But when you look at just the structure and what this program is built on under Freeman, those things aren't going to change. And those new coaches that are coming in have to adapt to that and aren't going to be guys that, in my opinion, are going to be coming in wanting to do their own thing. I just don't think that's the way you find yourself at a program like Notre Dame or these elite programs where guys are just coming in and think that they're going to change everything to what they believe in. There's a culture, there's a system that's already in place.
So let's talk about Aaron Henry. Aaron Henry
Mm-hmm.
is someone that both of us are familiar with, both
Yep.
of us being Illinois guys. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, you working with the Big Ten Network, you've been around the campus, you've been around the program and still connected to the program. Just talk about who he is and what he brings to the Notre Dame program, returning to his love as a defensive back coach, coming from being the defensive coordinator over at Illinois.
Yeah, and I think there's, depending upon what message boards or what chats you want to listen to, people say he was, ushered out. Well, if you're ushered out to go to Notre Dame, sounds like it was a good plan for you. But I think when you think about Aaron Henry, to me, what jumps out the most is he has a personality like Freeman's personality and like Mickens' personality. He's going to connect well. They're going to trust him. They're going to do whatever he needs to get the best out of the room. But he also is that kind of guy that's going to fold into the program. He's got to adapt to what this program is all about. And it's just like players that are leaving one program and go into another, particularly if you say, okay, this is when you look at Notre Dame from a facility standpoint, from a stadium standpoint, just the notoriety you have as a coach or a player at Notre Dame, that's going to be a lot different than he's ever been accustomed to since his playing days. So that's going to take a process, right, of how many people are interested in this program, how many people are covering this program on a daily basis. Is going to be a little bit different than he's accustomed to. So he's gonna have to grow into that and get comfortable with it. But I think as far as his football stuff, his ability to teach and communicate, he's a guy that doesn't believe in the one shoe or one size fits all when it comes to coaching. Whether you're coaching a 6'4" guy or you're coaching a 5'11" guy, you got to coach those guys differently. One guy might be able to, you can coach him hard. The other guy, you got to put your arm around sometimes. And he's a guy that's going to really connect with them quickly. So I expect things to really go well for him as he starts to gain a knowledge of the program, of the culture, of the history of Notre Dame, and also the players that he's going to get an opportunity to coach. And it's going to be a little different for him as well when he steps out on the road to recruit with that logo on his chest, a little bit different. Yeah, the Illinois logo brought some stuff, brought a lot, but now he's got that ND on the chest that he's going to be wearing around, and he's going to now where at some other stops he may have been, it might not have been a priority. It might not have been high on the list of those high schools that you're walking into. But now he immediately puts himself in the room with the best players, in college or in high school football, and also college when you think about the transfer portal. So it's going to take him an adjustment to make, but that's why I keep going back and I hone in on being a people person and being able to adapt. He'll be able to do that from a coaching standpoint.
We have so many great stories, success stories across the landscape of sports, arts, music, politics, where people just need an opportunity to get in the room. Yeah. Once they got in the room or got access or got in the door, you saw what they could do. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Now he's selling a totally different product. Not to downgrade the Illinois product and what they've been able to do under Brett Bielema over the last 3 or 4 years. But it's what it is. It is what it is. Now, like you said, to walk in with that interlock ND, man, you talking about everybody in the school. I'll tell you a quick story. A coach from Notre Dame, they hit the road, and the first city they hit during the open period was Chicago as a staff. And the coaches went up to a Catholic school. I won't mention it. It was a Catholic school in the inner city of Chicago. And I talked to the head coach.
It's only one, but that's okay. Go on. I know the one that he's talking about.
You said it's only one? I thought you were throwing a little shade at everybody else. You throwing shade at the CCL?
No. The reality is that this program has, over the last 2 years, and particularly next year, has an unbelievable class, this 2027 class that they have. So I'm sure that that's where they were, if you're talking about a Catholic school in the city of Chicago. But I digress. I didn't mean to get into your story.
But no, he went to school. I talked to the coach, and he was like, "Yo, been hosting coaches all day, and all of a sudden, you get teachers, staff, everybody wants to peek around the corner. You know what I'm saying? Students are stopping and want to take pictures. It's like it was just a different vibe
Yes.
when the ND staff got here. And that could be because of the proximity and the huge Notre Dame following fan base, especially at a Catholic institution like that. But like you said, he is about to learn rather quickly that he can now fish, and instead of fishing in the local pond, he can go out to the ocean.
Yeah,
he can go to the ocean.
He can go deep sea fishing.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he can go get guys that because that's the reality of it all. Even when you go south, whether you're going into Florida or you're going into Texas, you go out to California, even if the guys don't want to go to Notre Dame and they really want to stay close to home, they're having that conversation. They're talking with those players, with those coaches. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, well, no, I'm not even interested. Don't even waste your time, coach. No, they come by because, that's what it is. And that's the brand. And I think that's why I think you think about a guy like Aaron Henry, to me, he's going to probably really be able to hit his stride. Because the reality is he'd only call plays for 2 years. His first year he's calling plays. You got to get used to it. You got to get comfortable. But he also had a lot of injuries in the secondary. Last year he still had some injuries in the secondary. But you're gonna have things that don't necessarily go right. So he's gonna have an opportunity to grow. Being back with Coach Ash, he's got a chance. There's obviously a connection there with those guys. So he understands. And you look at the landscape, you only have to look at, where a lot of these assistants that have been at Notre Dame haven't just gone to another job. They've elevated. And I think that becomes attractive when you start thinking about places, the coaches, when Notre Dame picks up the phone and say, hey, we need you to interview, they take that interview because you have an opportunity to not just, make lateral movement, but also make a move that, ultimately changes your life. Now, listen, the money these guys are making now is insane. But when I say change your life, look at a guy like Coach O'Leary, who's now the defensive coordinator at San Diego, goes back, becomes a defensive coordinator at Western Michigan. They a remarkable turnaround, and he's back out in San Diego. And you only need to look and see how excited the players, guys like Derwin James, were for him to be back out there. So you look at just the way these guys, and it's just not, there are other guys that have been able to connect with these players, and it translates to the next stop that they make. And listen, people want, really good coaches, that's just the reality of it. And Marcus is going to have to continue to hire good coaches because people are going to come after his coaches. And, that's a good thing, I guess.
I want you to talk about, as you said before, he's going to recruit and fish from a totally different body of water now.
Yeah.
With a better product. But also, there is a challenge here because he's not walking into a room that needs to be elevated. He's walking into a room that has the #1 defensive back class coming in from the 2026 haul. He already has established starters. They go out, they get DJ McKinney from Colorado to come in, added into that room. So he has dudes.
Yeah.
And the last time he had dudes in 2022 at Illinois, you know what they did? They gave up 12.8 points per game. That was first nationally. 5.4 passing yards per attempt. That was second. 24 interceptions. Notre Dame had 21 last year. And 92.64 pass efficiency defense. That was first in the nation. So he's shown that when he has dudes.
Yeah.
My question is, they did that. The success that Notre Dame has had, those players have had trust in one guy. You
Yes.
talked about his personality, Aaron Henry. How quickly, like you said, can he hit the ground running with this group of defensive backs in that defensive back room in South Bend, knowing who he is and the talent that they have and the trust that they had in Mike Mickens? How quickly is it going to take for them to be able to trust him?
I think as quickly as he can, and I'm sure over the last 24 to the end of the week, he's going to meet with each one of those players if he hasn't already. He's going to establish that, and I think the first thing after he says, "Hey, I'm Aaron Henry," and giving them a little background, he's going to say, "Listen, you guys already have an established plan. So for me, I need to come in and look at how can I tweak things and make you better. Find out where your weaknesses are so that you can be a better player than you already are." That's what his job is to do. And I think as quickly as he can communicate that, the trust will start to build. Remember, I said start to build because you still have to go through the process of, how does he act when I'm walking down the hallway? How does he communicate in text messages if he needs to see me? If I do something wrong, what is his response going to be? If I didn't make the play that I needed to on the field in this practice, was he fair? So he'll start to continue to build that. But I think it all starts in that first meeting, right after that first handshake, and explaining, look, I know where you are right now. I've watched the tape. I'm going to continue to watch the tape. And it's about making guys better and giving guys opportunities to do some things that may be a little different. They're going to do some different drills. The drills might be different. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them may be different. But it's a matter of having that trust and being able to show guys that, hey, I got your back. And we're in this thing together. And I'm not trying to come in and blow this thing up and tell you guys you don't know the game. Clearly, you guys know how to play the game, and I understand the relationship that you had with Coach Mickens. That's real. That's real. I can't come in and replace and be him. And I think that honesty, is going to allow him to be able to set the groundwork for what's going to build through winter conditioning, spring ball, through the summer, and into the season.
We had a great question here, Howard, from Garland Doxy. Can they watch tape together right now? Do you think that's something that he's going to do collectively or individually with guys when you talk about improving what they already have established as players?
Well, I think that's, first of all, he's got to get up to speed on the tape. So this is not a situation where, you come in with a new coaching staff and the coaching staff can say, hey, you know what? I don't need to watch that film from last year because we're doing something totally different. He needs to watch the tape so he can get familiar with the things that he's being asked to coach. And I think that's the biggest part of it. But yeah, they can come in and watch tape, I'm almost sure. Because if they have free time, they're gonna want to be able to connect. And again, it's about building that connection. How quickly can you build it? And a lot of that is what you're seeing on tape and how you guys are communicating before the pads even get on.
It's interesting you bring that up because as they watch tape and build that relationship, I think about him being able to coach both safeties and cornerbacks and develop. And his resume speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You're talking about a guy that took Devin Witherspoon, top 5 overall NFL draft pick. Safety Kirby Joseph, NFL All-Pro. Jartavius Martin, 2nd round pick. Sidney Brown, 3rd round pick. Xavier Scott, who's coming back to the team this year. First team All Big Ten last year, and very quietly a semifinalist for the Jim Thorpe Award last year. That right there is a pretty good resume of being able to develop the safety and the cornerback position. And so for me, I'm really excited. I'm sure a lot of Notre Dame fans are really excited to see what he can do when he gets his hands on this talented group of players in that secondary group.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, he's gonna be coached up with Chris Ash as well. I mean, everyone has to come together. It's not one of those things, and I think that's why when I look at it, it's not one of those situations where he needs to come in and fix everything. You don't have to. I mean, Chris Ash is a secondary coach. He can coach the secondary as well. So, they're going to be things as they go through their meetings and their installs that Aaron Henry has picked up since being away from Chris Ash. They're gonna ultimately learn from one another through this process. It's just not going to be, let's force everything down your throat. It's okay. So how do you see things? What type of collaboration and can we also create? Because the other thing too is like you could say, Chris Ash could say, okay, well, go watch this stuff. Tell me what you think. And they had their honest opinions, because I think the best staffs go in and evaluate things, but they also can say, hey, this is where we got to get better and we need to do this, and you got to be able to answer questions. Or if you had a question, if you had an issue all year on third down, I'm not saying that is, I'm just saying how do fresh eyes see some of our issues that we had? Tell me what you see when you watch some of our issues when we struggled. But yeah, those are things that are going to be kicked around in the coaches' meetings before they even get down to the players, because this is a place where the culture and the framework is already set. It's about coming in and continuing to enhance and also challenge the players that are in there, because I think you hear a different voice of being coaching something maybe a little bit different that forces those players to also be able to adapt and understand what the coach is also seeing. So I think it's one of those things that, it works on both sides. And listen, when you got the kind of players and the kind of room he's walking into right now, the sky's the limit for what you're able to do if you're a great communicator and a great teacher.
I know one thing, bro. It's real easy week to week to tell 15 you're sticking that dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's your assignment. Take him away. Last year was Mekhi Lemon. This year it might be whomever, week to week. That makes it real easy for any defensive back coach to have a guy like Leonard Moore in the room that we're going to use him to take away the best player every week, and then the rest of us, we'll figure everything else out depending upon the opponent. So he's walking into a great situation. Like you said, if he was ushered out, he's thanking the good Lord.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this is the way to go. Listen, I can only imagine what he was feeling when he turned in and got onto the campus. He's in there like, whoa, wait a minute. And then you see this new indoor, and then you see the stadium, and you say, wow, I mean, really? This is what we got to work with here? And again, it's not any shade to places he's been previously, but it's just different. It's a different place, and I'm sure he's going to enjoy himself as he's got a young family, so I'm sure his family is going to be excited to be in a new community, just because it's a change and it's new and different. So, he should be just fine.
Yeah, Champaign has changed a lot since I went to school there, but it's still Champaign.
It is still Champaign.
It is still Champaign.
It's got better though. It is much better.
It's definitely much better.
Yep.
Lucky Lefty podcast. So we're talking about Aaron here with Howard Griffith, the Big Ten Network. We're talking about Aaron Henry, the new defensive back coach for the Fighting Irish. And before we switch over to whom they have targeted and they have zeroed in on to replace Al Washington as the linebacker coach, they go back to the Big Ten once again with what's being reported. But let's put a nice little bow on Aaron Henry. It is I did the research, and Aaron Henry, let me count it up. In the 27 to 28 classes, Aaron Henry already has a relationship with 10 guys that have already been offered by Notre Dame. So even though he was at Illinois, he has relationships with 10 athletes in the 27 to 28 classes that he was trying to recruit at Illinois. They either committed to Notre Dame already in the 27 class or are still being targeted by Notre Dame. So that right there is his recruiting value. I actually spoke to one of those individuals. I spoke to defensive back commit out of the 27 class, Ace Austin, this afternoon. He visited Illinois twice. He visited last spring, and then he came up for a game this year. And I, just said, yo, when you were there, I know you were being recruited by your position coach. He said, but did you have conversations with Aaron Henry? He was like, yes, sir. And he spoke glowingly about those conversations and the affinity he has for Coach Aaron Henry, and just was like really excited to be able to get to talk to him, in a different format with that ND on his chest rather than the orange and blue. Well, I love the orange and blue, but he's super excited to get to know him in a different way. So I think Coach is hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
And I think Notre Dame, I said this, if you were looking for glitz, glamour to kind of signal to the fan base that this is a home run hire, you're not going to get that.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that. And I don't know what the heck happened. I'm seeing all these media types and social media blogs connected to Illinois just all of a sudden want to throw tomatoes at the stage. I'm like, wait a minute. Like,
but that's that's what happens, right?
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm telling you, as you continue to talk to these recruits, as you continue to talk with players and other coaches that have the opportunity to interact with this guy, they're all going to be blown away. Because to me, again, it goes back to your ability to connect with people, and he's going to knock it out the box with that one. And I'll tell this story because he's going to tell it, I'm sure, at some point. But it's about his ability to really, because he started out on the education side. Like, he just didn't come right in GA, and he started on the academic side. So he had a chance to see players in a different light, away from the field, and his ability to help them learn on the field was one of the reasons he became a coach, and he was elevated on the football side because of what he was able to help those young people with academically, and being able to connect their schemes football wise into a fashion or into a way that they could understand it and be able to excel with it. So that's what I mean when I start to talk about how your ability to connect. Let me see how you learn. How do you do this? And you always have to be changing. You can't, everybody's not going to learn the same. Everyone doesn't want to be coached the same. You got to be able to find those, be able to press those buttons, and they're going to be different for every player and every athlete. And yeah, he's got a different caliber of athlete that he's going to be, coaching right now. But at the end of the day, those guys still have to trust and believe that you have the best for them. And Aaron's going to really be able to show them, and better than he can tell them, that dude, I care about you guys. I care about not just what you're doing when you're on the field, but what you're doing away from it. So I expect it to be outstanding. But again, when you're at a place like Illinois or a lot of places, and a coach leaves, and if one of the people are saying, hey, he just wasn't good, we needed to do something different. I mean, that's part of the game, man. That's part of what it is. And sure, you can be upset about it, but you got to be able to move on and go to your next stop and do your thing. And now, we're in a position, Illinois is, that they have to figure out what their safety position is going to look like. They've got some coaching hires that they got to make. Defensive coordinator, they've got to hire that. So it'll be interesting to see how those continue to play out and what the responses will be from the fan bases and the blogs when that person is ultimately hired.
Yeah, he's it's, in my opinion, now he's on the mountaintop looking down like your tomatoes can't reach up here. He has to feel good. He definitely got the
absolutely
situation. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Myself, Shaun Davis. That's our big brother Howard Griffith from the Big Ten Network. We are brought to you by Anora Whiskey, AnoraWhiskey.com. It is that premium American whiskey, AnoraWhiskey.com. Follow us at Lucky Lefty Pod, X, TikTok, Instagram, and we are courtesy of Bleav Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, audio edibles each and every day. And we are presented by FanDuel. You need to go over to FanDuel and FanDuel.com. We told you about the Super Bowl 60 picks that you could take. Seattle Seahawks are a 4.5-point favorite against the New England Patriots with a total of 45.5. The way the Patriots have been playing offense, you might want to look at that under in that matchup. But there is a full load of action tonight in the association with Giannis watch and the trade deadline quickly approaching. The Bulls actually made 2 trades today. Howard, I was shocked. I don't know what they're going to do ultimately and what they're going to look like after the trade deadline. They're saying Io might be on the move, Kobe White. So this is going to be very interesting. But tonight, you have a prime time matchup. Nikola Jokic takes on the #1 seed in the East, the Detroit Pistons, led by Cade Cunningham. And the Pistons at home are 5.5-point favorites with a total of 228.5. Should be a high-scoring affair. You can find that and much more, Super Bowl 60 and a full load of games in the NBA over at FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app or simply go to FanDuel.com. All right, so Charlie Partridge comes from the Indianapolis Colts to fill the defensive line position for the Fighting Irish. Yeah. We just talked about Aaron Henry being the successor to Mike Mickens in the defensive back room. And now it was reported that Notre Dame has zeroed in on the guy that they would like to replace Al Washington as he went to the Miami Dolphins in the NFL to take over as the linebacker coach. Now, that's 2 departures from that linebacker position. Max Bullock was first. They got Charlie Partridge, and then they moved Al Washington to linebacker coach, and Al Washington decides to depart for the NFL. So now it is former or Michigan. I can't say former yet. I'll wait until it's official. But Michigan linebacker coach Brian John Mary. Yeah. And he spent time in Michigan a couple of times. He spent time in Tennessee, very well respected. Same thing you hear about Aaron Henry, the way he can connect to his players and his ability to teach is something that Notre Dame fans should feel really good about if he indeed ends up being the linebacker coach, as most think he will be at the University of Notre Dame. So just talk about what he was able to do with that Michigan defense. I think they were 5th in the nation against the run 2 years ago. And then they down to about 17th this year. I mean,
a little bit different personnel.
It's real, different. You know, it's real simple to me. It was 2 dudes in the middle 2 years ago. Probably made it a little bit easier for the linebackers that were in the NFL this past season. And so we go from top 5 to being like top 20. The top 20 is still pretty good, but you're not as dominant. But just talk about him and what you know about him.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's always going to be a recurring theme when you talk about these coaches, there are always going to be guys that have the ability to connect. And again, you only need to look at your head coach and you see the characteristics that he's going to want to be able to hire. I go back to this, the first time I saw Marcus teach, he was at Ohio State as a GA. And Coach DiNardo and I were looking, was like, that dude's got it. Not from a standpoint that I'm saying that he was going to have this rise and be at Notre Dame and the success he's had, but his ability to communicate, his ability to teach and move on and be able to teach different players different things, always giving feedback. That's what you're going to continue to see as he brings new coaches into his program, because he wants things to look the way they looked when he was doing it. So those are I think the type of players that he's going to be coaches that he's going to be attracted to, or that are going to have a great interest in him trying to see. And then you get into the football stuff. But I think initially you just think about the ability to teach, and that's what it comes down to. And I think when you think about the guys at Michigan, I look at the Michigan defense the last couple of years, Wink Martindale, I thought did an unbelievable job. They were really good again a couple years ago. At third down situations, being able to get off the field, being able to stop the run and make teams one dimensional. But then you lose some of those players, as you mentioned. But the linebackers, one thing you always saw that they were always technically sound. They did a great job of teaching and getting those guys prepared so they understood, where they needed to be on the field. And a lot of times they needed to make some plays or take some chances that they may not have had the ability to do the year before just because of the change, the personnel difference that they had as far as the talent level. But he's always been one of those guys when you watch him, he's just guys are dialed in. When he's talking to him, he's looking at the entire group. The group's eyes are on him. They're not looking around the back trying to figure out how to get away from him. They're sitting there trying to learn and understand. And I think that's part of that is being at a place that's a traditional blue blood. And if you're a quality coach, you're going to demand that respect and you're going to need your players to dial in. But for me, I sound like a broken record, but it's about being able to connect, man. That's what you have to be able to do in the day and age we're in now with the transfer portal. You just have to be able to make that connection quick, and you have to be able to communicate and get your point across quickly so that it can be received and digested, and it's not a whole bunch of wasted time and wasted words.
As you said before, well-traveled, very experienced, can definitely recruit. Notre Dame fans might remember that he was the linebacker coach when the University of Texas under Charlie Strong walked into Notre Dame Stadium and got spanked by the Fighting Irish, led by MALIK ZAIRE, who had a hell of a day against that Texas defense. But he signed guys like Malik Jefferson, who was the #1 linebacker in the nation in that 2015 class. So he could definitely recruit. Like I said, Texas. He's been at Georgia Tech. He's been at Tennessee. So the respect for him as a coach and as a recruiter just goes before itself.
Yeah.
It leads. Before he even walks in the room, it's like, okay, this dude knows what he's talking about, and he's coached some really good players and developed some really good players.
Yeah, and I think you also, because of social media, things have shrunk so. And sometimes people think, this is a big old world, but it really isn't, particularly when these guys start, playing competitive 7-on-7, going to camps, being recruited by different people. They start to create relationships with other players, whether they were, at Tennessee visiting that same weekend, or whether they were playing at a 7-on-7 deal in Florida or out in Vegas. They have those connections. And also, these players, remember, these guys are going and picking up their phones too and saying, oh, let me see where he's been. Let me see who he's coached. Let me see who I know that may have been connected to him. On both sides, guys are trying to gain more knowledge. But as you said, when you sit there and you take a look and you say, oh, well, yeah, he's done this before. So again, it starts out with that first meeting and how that goes, and then it continues to build as they get into the season. So, I think they're both going to be, great hires. Things are it's not always going to be smooth, but it's going to take time. But I think with Chris Ash, with a year under his belt, making the calls and doing the things he needs to do, making the adjustments. It's going to take a little time. I'm not saying it's going to take the assistants a year, because I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they'll be able to get things done. It's just a matter of how the information flows from top to bottom, or how they communicate as a staff, a defensive staff. But those are things that guys are used to this business. They know what they need to do, and ultimately, they're trying to do the absolute best, because again, everyone's playing with this, somebody didn't want me. People said I was pushed out of here, or this wasn't working out, or people are questioning that. So just like players, coaches want to prove something too. The only challenge for the coaches is they don't have an opportunity to actually get on the field and do something about it. it has to be done through their players. So I think you'll get the best out of both coaches once things become final for the linebacker coach.
I guess if it's official or whenever it's made official, we would have to send a thanks out to Coach Sharon Moore for DoorDash. He left me
Whoa! Yeah.
I mean, he ended up
keep on giving for a while.
Keep on giving for a while. Kyle Winningham wouldn't be in Ann Arbor.
Man,
Coach might not be available, but
yeah, might not be available
for the taking for the Fighting Irish. Just to mention his impact recruiting, he does have ties to the Midwest and Chicago specifically. But if you just look at the linebackers that Notre Dame is going after and offering, there's a lot of intermingling and crossover. Caden Henderson, one of the top linebackers, 4-star out of Jesuit in Tampa, Florida, was also being pursued by Brian Jean-Mary. Taven Epps, who committed to Oklahoma, and Kamari Dorsey were guys that Notre Dame and Michigan both went after. Respectively, they've committed to Oklahoma and Texas A&M. This is someone that we both know, 4-star linebacker out of Chicago, Mark Carmel, Roman Igwebuike. He's been to Notre Dame a couple of times. He's definitely been to Michigan. So look for him to, once again, he has a relationship with Coach Jean-Mary. If it becomes official, that's an inroad to that young man. Noah Glover out of Hayes Market, Virginia, is another linebacker that both Michigan and Notre Dame offered, and we're going after. A very interesting young man. If you watch his film, you like him a lot. He's more of a stand-up linebacker that loves to drop in coverage. And one of the things you saw from Chris Ash that might have been a little bit different from his predecessor is that he liked to drop edge rushers into a tall, athletic players into coverage coming off the edge. Antoine Higgins out of Anderson, Cincinnati, Ohio. If you watch his film, that's exactly what you're going to see from the 6'3", 215-pound athlete. Also, someone that Michigan went after that is committed to the Fighting Irish, Amari Irvin, linebacker out of IMG Academy. You know a little something about IMG, don't you, Howard?
Yeah, and I know about his father, Cedric Irvin, who was an unbelievable player at Michigan State. Yeah, he's his older brother is out at Stanford.
His older brother, actually, true story, his older brother was actually committed to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
The running back coach position became open and Dylan McCullough came in. Guess who? It was an honest conversation between the Irvin family and Dylan McCullough that ultimately led to, like you said, his brother, Cedric Irvin Jr., decommitting from the program. Guess who Dylan McCullough wanted to go after in order to fill that void once they had that honest, upfront conversation?
Let's go, Love.
That's exactly. Dylan McCullough said, I want him, so I need to talk to them to let them know that I'm going after that. I think that worked out well for Notre Dame. I think it worked out pretty well. And it had to be respect the way the situation was handled for their younger son now to want to come to Notre Dame and for the family to be on board. So
they've been huge fans of Marcus Freeman for a while.
Yeah.
So he's been a player since he stepped into high school. Since he stepped on the field, he's been playing. So, he's going to be a special one for sure.
Yeah. And Ellis McGaskin, who was in the 2027 class out of Alabama, he decommitted. We'll see. Brian Jean-Mary was recruiting him to Michigan. We'll see if it becomes official and he is indeed the linebacker coach. We'll see if he gets back in with Ellis McGaskin to get him back in the class. So that's Brian Jean-Mary, zeroed in on by Notre Dame to replace Al Washington as the linebacker coach at Notre Dame. Howard, we got a couple of questions for you before we get out of here.
All right.
Thank everybody for joining us today. A little bit of a truncated show, but we really wanted to give you some background on these Big Ten hires. Howard loves that. Notre Dame lining the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Howard loves that.
There we go.
Capo 31 DeBoe says, did you think Marcus Freeman liked the fact that both coaches have experience recruiting the Chicago area?
I think it's always part of the process, but for me, when you think of Notre Dame recruits Chicago. I mean, that's no matter who it's going to be, they're always going to be in Chicago when Chicago has the type of players that they believe that can come to Notre Dame and be successful. They're gonna be in on those guys all the time. And if you couple that with the fact that if you start recruiting, these Catholic schools, that's been
There's
part of the
only one,
mystique. I
right?
mean,
There's only
yeah.
one,
Well,
right?
there's several. I shouldn't say there's only one, but if you say to me inner city Chicago, yes, playing football, yeah. Well, really for them now playing football and basketball, they do a lot over there right now. They got it
Oh
rolling.
man, they do. Yeah.
But but yeah, so you go to a place like that that's a powerhouse high school. You're going to be looking to go to the best program you can. And when Notre Dame is up and running, why not go, 100 miles away and have a chance to compete for a national title each and every year? And again, that's not to say that, a guy can't want to go to Illinois or want to go to Northwestern or some of the other schools, but Notre Dame is just different. It's viewed differently, and it's one of those places that it's just a different place. And so guys take that opportunity when they have it. But that again, that's not a knock on the other schools that are nearby. But that's what these schools, Illinois, Northwestern, they got to recruit against them, and it's just not them. Right now, Oregon is spending as much time in Chicago as they're spending anywhere else at that inner city Catholic school. So, I
Now
mean,
they've been spending time in the Chicagoland area,
yeah,
especially with those running backs they've snuck out of
hmm
Chicago for the
yeah,
last
yeah.
5 to 6 years.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so there's always going to be constant people in Chicago, but particularly now, think over you look at last year, you look at this year, there have just been some high end players that I don't think we've seen in a long time. The number of players that we've seen that have having opportunities to go on and play major college football, and that's going to attract the biggest brands in the country. And Notre Dame happens to be one of those brands, and happens to be nearby as well.
It's almost like after COVID, and when a lot of the talent had to go down to IMG and to
Hmm.
warmer weather areas to be able to play because it was kind of shut down in Chicago.
Yeah.
It's almost like it took it like another year or two. But once those seeds started to bloom, now like 25, 26, 27, and
Yeah.
28, the talent is robust
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Chicago. I'm talking
Yeah.
about top talent. It's
Hmm.
bananas. Like, and
Yeah.
it's not just like you said, that one school
Yeah.
normally has the
Yeah.
majority of the talent, but
Hmm.
now you're seeing a lot of
Yeah.
competitors, not just
Yeah.
CCL, public schools,
Hmm.
suburbs. Everybody has talent on a top
Yeah.
level.
So it's working well, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it might be a golden age for high school football. The next
Yeah.
five, 10 years.
I can't remember a time where it was just the type of talent that's coming out of here right now,
Yeah,
and not just from, okay, yeah, they're talented, but yeah, they're talented and they're contributing. You look at Justin Scott at Miami. That dude is contributing. He is going to be a problem
yeah,
next year.
yeah,
So you look at those kind of Lightfoot that also went to Miami as well. So there are a lot of guys that in previous years, you might say, and we still takes a little bit more time for it to play out. But guys may have left, and then they ended up coming back because things didn't work out the way they hoped. But you're not seeing that now. These guys are going in and they're having an opportunity to play and compete early, and that's what's happening. And that's the way it has to be when you start to think about what the transfer portal looks like. Really for blue blood programs, a transfer portal should be free agency. If you should be supplementing what you already have on your roster if you've done the right things, and those players on that roster have developed into the players you thought they would.
yeah. And this question right here, piggybacks on what you just talked about. Thank you, Jay Melvin, for your GTB question. I wanted to ask you guys about some high school football. What league do you guys think is better, the Chicago Catholic League or the Trinity League out in California? First of all, you're asking two Chicago dudes. So I'm just letting you know it's going to be a biased answer. He said, I don't know much about big high school football leagues. Of course, out there, the Trinity League, you got Bosco, Mater Dei, all of those schools. So
I'll tell you this story that puts into perspective. I think it was Bosco was playing in this game. I was playing for the Rams at the time, and we were playing in Anaheim. And there was a high school game. And I know one of the teams was Bosco. And maybe it was the Sal. But regardless of who the other team was, they sold out the entire lower bowl of Anaheim Stadium. Because football it's huge. I mean, it is huge. So from what I know, what I remember, what has come out of there, they're still probably producing a lot more players than we are if you even combining, the Catholic League and the public league. When you think about what they're doing and what they've been able to do over time, it's been unbelievable. The players that not only they go on to play, become college All-American, Heisman Trophy winners, NFL All-Pros. They've got a lot going on out there. So I think we're still a little bit behind, but we're making our way.
Yeah, we got a fan, Fred G. Sanford. He said, "Brother Rice, come on now." And he says, he said, Mark Carmel got us this year, but we got them last year. Hey, look, they're both state champions. They're both state champions.
And I'd say one of the things that's happened that's really actually been really good. I mean, you think about, it used to be a time where, guys would go to Carmel or Brother Rice, and they'd stay there for a year, and then they'd leave and go transfer to a public school. Now those players, those elite players, are staying in those schools that they were at. And you think about the Brother Rice, you think about what Fenwick is doing, Northwest. So I mean, they've gotten better. I mean, teams are getting better. But you think about what Carmel is doing. Brother Rice is getting stuff done right now. They've got a talented player. Have a couple of them that are there right now. So it's one of those things, man. It's football is getting better, and I think the talent, regardless of where they are, whether it's public league, whether it's Simeon, Morgan Park, whether in some of the Catholic leagues programs, it has gotten a lot better, and the talent is really starting to really show itself in the city of Chicago.
This past year, I went to a Brother Rice game because I was watching Braden Parks.
Mm-hmm.
That was my assignment that game. Like, go watch Braden Parks, talk to him after the game.
Mm-hmm.
They kick off, the Brother Rice defense runs on the field. And in the first two plays, I forgot Braden Parks was on the field. And I immediately got on the phone and said, I know you have me here watching Braden Parks, but this kid wearing number 5.
Yeah.
This 2028 kid. Bro, I was like, he's going to be one of them ones.
Yeah.
Like, I can see it now. That kid is like one of the best kids I've ever seen play. And when I saw last week, he was in Indianapolis in 7-on-7 and caught 2 touchdowns. I was like, this is some people are just blessed by God.
Yeah.
Just like, all right, God, I guess you just decided to give that kid. He's
give it all to him.
Oh man, 6'4", 230, and he's running 4.4. Like, for real?
Running around on 7-on-7 field. It's crazy.
Right. Like, who does that? And I want to call Coach Q, like, you letting him do this in the off season?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. So, Lucky Lefty Podcast, before I let you go, one last question.
Yeah.
They say all time a tide raises all boats.
Mm-hmm.
People look at what Indiana's doing as a subtractor to what Notre Dame can do. I look at it differently, because I don't think locally or in that vicinity of the state of Indiana, I don't think Notre Dame has really been challenged. I don't think they've really been pushed from a school standpoint, from an investment standpoint. I don't think they've ever been pushed to go above what they do. They trust in their brand. They trust in who they are. They've never really been challenged. I think it's going to be a positive challenge to have Indiana down the road with Kirk Cignetti. I think it's going to be it's going to force Notre Dame to always have to make sure that they're on their P's and Q's. How do you look at it? Especially in recruiting now, when they're going at the top talent in the state of Indiana that might normally go to Notre Dame. I welcome it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a talented kid. I think he's number 5 prospect, number 4 prospect in Indiana. Well, no, in the country, and he's from I think Lawrenceburg North or Lawrenceville, one of them North.
Yeah,
I mean, competition is just that. I mean, you talk about, we talked about the ND logo walking in and things being different. The IU logo walking in is a whole lot different than it was, 13 months ago. It's to me, it'll make both programs better. Is Indiana in the same, stratosphere with Notre Dame? Historically, obviously, no. But when you look at recent history, right? Notre Dame went through them last year. Cignetti looked and said, "Oh, this is where I got to get better." He went and got better, won a national title, and I think there's a healthy respect between I would say both coaching staffs. I'm not going to say the the fan base because that's going to be a little different, but it's about going out and being the best you can. Again, Notre Dame recruits coast to coast. Indiana is going to start to do that where they see fit, but that's still a process that they are starting to get into. I mean, Notre Dame has signed a bunch of dudes, or not Notre Dame, but Indiana in this last recruiting cycle, 26, signed like 7 4-star players. I think they were all on the defensive side, but they've never done that. That's not something that they've been able to do. So, there are enough players out there that both programs are going to be able to do what they feel is best, and they're going to start at some point, which is probably now, going to start going after some of the same players. But I think that's where you have to, as a program, know what you're doing and where you're spending your resources, because you can spend your resources chasing the wrong people to change your program, and I don't think Cignetti is going to do that. He has an idea of what fits his program and what the right player is. So I don't think he's going to be in one of those situations where I would use Michigan State as an example. I think their 2016 class, Coach D'Antonio had made a concerted effort. He was evaluating guys, and they were 2, 3-star guys that were coming in and being developed. And I think that 2016 class, he went after some high-end 5-star and 4-star players, and they probably weren't the right fit for that locker room. And, they had some issues, off the field with several of those guys. But that's what happens when you try to change who it is. I understand why he went and played Alabama in the playoffs, and that thing wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. So I know why he went after those players. But sometimes when you get away from what your identity is, it can create some problems for you. So I think both programs know what their identity is. So they're going to continue to, recruit the best people that are going to fit in their locker room and bring the best players in they can.
Man, look, the last 3 national champions have made it real simple. Offensively, it starts with this offensive line, and defensively, it starts with that defensive line. And it's real simple. Football always comes back to where the ball starts. Each and every
as much as we wanted to try to make it something else, again, I bring Miami up. This is how this Miami team is built. Built, and they had issues at the quarterback position, which probably slowed them down, and probably ultimately cost them, a national title. But that's kind of what it is. But you got to be able to build. You got to be able to run the football. You
Yes, sir.
just have to be able to do that. As much as people want to talk about Fernando Mendoza and how good he is and Heisman Trophy, Indiana ran the football when they wanted to run it, and that was a big part of why they were able to win a national title this year.
That dude, the run settled the game down because Mendoza was getting bludgeoned,
beat up. Yeah, they were
early in that
killing.
game.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But and if they couldn't run ball in that game,
Man.
might not have worked out the way it did.
And when the Miami offense struggled in the first half, what did they come out doing in the second half?
Mm-hmm.
Ran the ball and got back in the game. And then they went to MALIK Tony. Ladies and gentlemen, football is really simple. It's really simple. Become good up front, more than likely, you're going to have a real good shot of being a really good team.
Mm-hmm. And then you find a guy like Love to run the football. Oh, Lord. I was just watching some highlights earlier today. I was like, God, that dude's just different.
He's different.
He's just different.
He's different. This is the crazy thing, Howard. In high school, he was just raw. Like, he wasn't a running back. He was an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
He's still becoming a running back. Like, he's still learning how to be a running back.
Yeah.
Like, I think his patience probably hit middle of last year, like learning to really be patient and set up the blocking. And you can still see in some instances this year where he was like just trying to make a play. He didn't trust the play. But as he learns and gets better, I think he's scratching the surface of what I think he's. Let me tell you something. Me and MALIK have talked about this because we've been looking at the mock drafts. I said if the NFL allows the Kansas City Chiefs to get Jeremiah Love with Pat coming back, I said Pat's never had that in the backfield. Not that. Not that. It's like you give Pat Mahomes that, it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, I mean that run he had last year when he was his knee was banged up.
Up against Indiana.
He was on the 10. I mean, I don't think I've seen anything like it. It was an unbelievable run.
Yeah, you were there in person.
Man, I was like,
when I saw the run, the 96-yarder he had against Boston College this year, and around the 40-yard line, he looked at the sideline for Notre Dame and started telling the coach, "I told you." I was like, okay.
He different.
This dude is definitely different. Hey, great show today, Howard. Big Ten Network, Howard Griffith. We thank you for joining us today. Once again, subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up. It helps with the views. Share and let everybody know about Lucky Lefty Podcast, the home of the misguided passion. Forever committed to making sure that we spin it different. Courtesy of Bleav Network, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Please go tap in on the audio side. We drop audio edibles for you each and every day. And then we are presented by FanDuel. You go to FanDuel.com. As we said, it is a loaded batch of games in the NBA tonight. We already gave you the Detroit Pistons hosting the Denver Nuggets. They are 5-point favorites at home with a total of 228.5. And another one that's going to be very interesting has Cooper Flag and the Dallas Mavericks hosting the Boston Celtics. The Celtics are a 7-point favorite in that one with an over-under total of 222.5. And, of course, Super Bowl 60, the Seattle Seahawks are 4.5-point favorites with an over-under of 45.5. You can find that and much more over at FanDuel, FanDuel.com. Download the FanDuel app. Hey, I have one for you, Howard, on the way out the door. Kenneth Walker III, Big Ten ties. 60 yards or more in the Super Bowl. Which way you
I'm going more.
You going over? Hey,
I'm going over. And I would tell you this: he might not be a bad prop bet for MVP. Might not be a bad prop bet for MVP.
You might be right. You might be right. It would be funny if Sam Darnold is the first quarterback out of his class to win a Super Bowl. That would be crazy. I don't think anybody would have, if anyone had laid that
No.
bet the day all of them were drafted,
Yeah,
someone would
costing
be a
people their
millionaire.
jobs.
Absolutely.
Costing folks their jobs right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Shout out to Kwesi, man. Keep your head up,
Yeah.
bro. Keep
There
your
you
head
go.
up. You'll be all right.
Yep.
So for Howard Griffith, left, Malik Zaire, I'm Shaun Davis. As always, continue to love each other, but most of all, make sure you continue to spin it different. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow.